Welcome to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss science fiction, fantasy, cooking, the outdoors, and more. Netflix is not a happy company right now. After the streaming service lost 200,000 subscribers during its first quarter, which was the first time that had occurred in a decade, the company's stock crashed. To give an idea of just how much Netflix stock has crashed, over the past week, the stock has repeatedly closed below $200 a share. The last time that Netflix's stock had closed below $200 a share was towards the end of 2017, 4.5 years ago. But over the past 52 weeks, Netflix's stock has been as high as $700.99 a share, but that was before the stock plunged to as low as $185.60 a share, which was last week. That's a swing of $515.39, and a loss in value of nearly 73.5% in about 6 months. At the start of this year, Netflix stock was at $597.37 per share. So it has lost as much as $411.77 per share, or 68.9% of its value since 2022 began. And at no point since 2022 began has Netflix's stock risen back up to the level that it was during New Year's. It has only continued to trend downwards and in an accelerating fashion. Given that the company expects to lose several million more subscribers during this quarter, its stock value is probably only going to continue to go down even more. Naturally, Netflix has laid off some of its staff, and many of the ones that the company has laid off were recently hired women of color. They were working on the streaming service's new fan-focused website, Tudum, named for the sound of the Netflix logo. Tudum launched in December to take fans behind the streams with articles about shows and films streamed on the service. For example, the site recently featured a story on the toddlers in the Japanese reality show Old Enough. There was a story with a scoop about the final episodes of Frankie and Grace, and a rundown of who's crushing on whom in the teen series Heartstopper. Some fans are just now learning about Tudum, and some are complaining that Netflix didn't do much to promote the website. And some of the writers and editors who lost their jobs were told the layoffs were part of Netflix's plan to restructure its marketing department. These layoffs began shortly after announcements that the streamer had lost subscribers and that its stock took a nosedive. The Tudum site is still up, but one team of 10 to 12 writers and editors were laid off. They worked on the culture and trends section of Tudum and were experienced journalists who previously worked for Vulture, Vice, Teen Vogue, and the New York Times. Some were book authors and had their own pop culture podcasts. Most, if not all, of the team were Black, Latinx, or Asian women. One member of the team said hours after being let go, they went very out of their way to hire high-level journalists of color who have quite a bit of name recognition and a lot of experience and talent. In some ways, they were just buying clout to lend credibility to their gambit. Everyone on the team has been recruited by Netflix with promises of editorial independence, exclusive interviews with Netflix talent, and secure, well-paying jobs. It seemed like a dream job at first, they said, working with diverse staff for good pay and loads of resources and opportunities. The team said, "We were courted pretty aggressively. They sold us on the most amazing thing that you could want as a culture journalist or entertainment journalist. They just sold something that seemed impossible anywhere else, but the biggest selling point was the pay." But in the short time the website has been around, they said the vision and the strategy changed. They started tightening up little by little, and then it just became clear. It's a content marketing job, essentially. That would have been fine if from the get-go they made that clear. Instead of being able to write about anything they wanted concerning Netflix content, they were told not to say anything deemed controversial, even if it was the subject of a documentary, for example. and any mention of films that aren't in the Netflix library were deleted from the site. They created a very jargony corporate environment in which everything is extremely positive. So instead of saying, "No, don't do that," they say, "Do you think that's something we should be doing?" they said. The writers and editors were full-time or part-time, on contract or on staff, and say they had no notice before losing their jobs and were offered just 2 weeks of severance pay. The ex-Tudum worker said, noting that many had recently received promotions, people upended their lives for this. Now they're scrambling to find new jobs, sending out tweets asking for employment. This isn't the first streamer to lay people off in the past week. Something similar happened with CNN Plus, though in that case it wasn't just one team, but the entire new streaming service. Thank you for watching today, and thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button below, and please feel free to share a comment. If you would like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please subscribe right now by clicking on the red subscribe button below. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.